What's going on, everybody? So today, as you can tell, I'm back in a Mustang. This is actually my good friend Taylor's 2013 5.0. He's got a ton of stuff done to it. You can find him on Instagram at Rocket50. He's got, I think, about 6,000 followers right now, but he's growing really fast. This car is awesome, though. So he gave it to me pretty much for the day, so I'm just going to be filming a review, maybe a little edit of it, get some drone shots hopefully a little later on. I love this car. So basically, just to give you a quick rundown, 2013 5.0 Brembo package. It's got SVE drift wheels on it. I believe this is a 4-inch Cervini's cowl hood. He's got that, as well as full exhaust on it, and he's also running an E85 tune right now by Fifth Gear. So this car is putting down about 430 to the wheels, I believe. The last time I drove it, it was on a Lund cam tune. So this is going to feel completely different than the last time I drove it. It's going to be basically a whole different car. So I'm really excited to get this review started for you guys. It's pretty loud, so I hope y'all can hear me. So other things that are done to the exterior, he's got a different upper grille. It's like the GT 500 style, and he's got a black front lip on there, which looks really good. The California Special wing on the back, which also is a big one of my favorites on these cars. It just looks really good. You know, if I had this year in this color 5.0, this is exactly how I would do it. If you've been watching the channel for a little while, you'll know that on my V6 Mustang, I actually had these same wheels, and I love them. They're not like the most expensive or anything, but they look good, and they do their job, so I'm a big fan of them. But yeah, just right now, I'm kind of just driving on, I wouldn't really say a back road, but not like a main road, and it's doing really well. It's smooth, the bumps aren't too harsh or anything, and, you know, it's easy to drive. The steering feels great. I've always loved the feeling of these newer Mustangs. So right now, just kind of taking a corner, not super fast, but, you know, faster than the average person, and it's handling it great. It just kind of dips in and goes. This car is also lowered. That helps a little bit, lowering the center of gravity. Makes the handling a little bit better. You get up to speed in no time in this car, and it feels great. The throttle response is really good. The tuner of this car did an amazing job. The drivability is great. Starting off isn't hard at all. It's just a good package all around, I think. Steering feels good. Handling is pretty good. You know, with these year model Mustangs, this is 2 years before they switched over to the IRS and the 2015 and up models. It honestly doesn't feel that bad. You know, people that complain about it, they're probably going to be the people that are also like using it on the track and actually like beating their car up a little bit. I know Grab the Blue Stang on Instagram, I guess he no longer owns that car, but he had a Watts link and a bunch of other stuff done to his car, and he proved that these cars can handle if given the right modifications. So, you know, handling's not a huge deal. All things considered, this does a really good job, in my opinion. So as far as visibility goes, it's actually pretty good. So he's got some pretty dark tint on the side windows and a little bit on the windshield, but it's not so much that it's distracting or anything, or that you like can't see out of it. But you know, I love the tinted look. It really completes the car. And like I said, it's not really hard to see out of any of the windows. The only one that's kind of a challenge is the rear window, and that's not because of the tint, it's because of that California Special spoiler. It's a little hard to see over, but you still can see over it just fine. Downshifting is easy. He's got this new shift knob since the last time I drove it, and it feels really good. So yeah, right now just kind of sitting at a light. It's really smooth. I like that he doesn't have the cam tune anymore, because it just kind of shook you around at the light and almost made you feel sick because of the fumes from it not having cats and all that, but I know some of you are just going to call me. My only big complaint right now is the fact that it gets horrible gas mileage, but that's okay since it's on E85, since E85 is much cheaper than the, you know, normal options that we have. He did tell me that you can just throw 93 in this if you want to, but it's more expensive and you don't make as much power, so what's the point? Especially since he just kind of takes it around town and isn't really going on super long road trips with it. It's not a huge deal. Everywhere you go, it just breaks necks. It's amazing. I love it. So as far as interior goes, he doesn't really have that much done. It's pretty much stock other than the shift knob, but he's got a short shifter, which really helps with the throws, and then this weighted shift knob also is a big help as well. I'm gonna roll the windows down here in a second for you guys because this car sounds amazing. I don't know what the headers are, or like, I know it's an off-road X-pipe, and then he's got Flowmaster axlebacks, Flowmaster Outlaws, and they sound really good, I think. So we're gonna give you guys a little taste here. You probably won't be able to hear me for a second. so good. You know, with this exhaust setup, you can probably hear it, and I'm not gonna lie, the drone is pretty awful. I'd probably go insane if I was doing a long road trip, but for me, since I haven't had my Mustang for a while, I absolutely love the sound of this car, and it's been so fun driving it today. So huge thanks to Taylor again for letting me drive it. But back to what we're talking about, which is the car itself and how it performs. So I think that with these cars coming down in price so much recently, it's a bargain, honestly. You get pretty much like 420-ish horsepower to the crank from the factory with a pretty nice interior, really good looks that are, I wouldn't say timeless, but this still breaks necks. It's a, what, 5-year-old car now, and it still breaks everybody's necks whenever you're driving down the road. And granted, this one is modified, but stock still, everybody looks. So all that being considered, for only like 20 grand, that's a good deal for what you get. Performance for the money, it's really hard to beat, honestly. And like every car, these cars have their flaws. They're not as nice as they could be for the year, but you don't even think about that. Like, I haven't been driving this car once today and thought, man, I wish these seats were a little bit nicer quality, or I wish this door plastic was better. You know, it's stuff that you just don't really think about whenever you're looking into getting a car like this. So if you're looking around the $20,000 price range, and you can get them cheaper than that for sure, I think this is one of the best options you can go for. And I know I'm a little biased just having had a bunch of Mustangs before, but I really do believe that. I've driven a lot of cars now, and I'm not saying I know everything, but not at all. I mean, in the car community, there's always something to learn. But just after driving a lot of stuff, there's something about a Mustang that I just can't get anywhere else. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about it. If you haven't driven one, I'd say drive it. For those that are Camaro owners, if you've never driven one, I say drive it. That way you can actually experience something a little bit different, because, you know, I've driven Camaros, and I mean, you can't deny there's certain Camaros that are better performance-oriented cars. You know, like the new 1LEs out of the factory, I mean, the Performance Pack 2 Mustang isn't really quite there with it. You know, it's a great car, but it's just not quite there. So I respect Camaros totally. I'm not completely brand loyal or anything. Camaros are awesome, but that being said, when I drive them, I don't know, just the interior is uncomfortable to me, the visibility's bad, and with this you have great visibility, and you don't feel like you're really sacrificing anything. The trunk's pretty big, you can fit a lot of stuff in there. The back seats are usable if you need them, although I wouldn't recommend it, but they're there. And, you know, Camaro, same thing, back seats are there. But if you're going for a muscle car, I say you gotta go for the Mustang. I don't know, just something about it. And also Challengers, I love. You know, they have pretty good build quality, in my opinion. Dodge has really stepped up their game recently in the past few years. They sound great. I think they look really good. They're one of the few muscle cars that have kept their classic look intact, the original look. And I really respect Dodge for keeping that. But with this car, you know, this still kind of goes back to the roots of the fastback styling. You know, the swooped roof going back, the quarter windows, just the overall design really, if you pay attention, it goes back to the 67, 68 model years for these. I would say that the 11 and 12s were more of like the 66 style, because the front end was a little different. There wasn't as much room between the grille and the headlights. And those of you that know Mustangs know what I'm talking about. But overall, this is a really well-designed car, in my opinion. It keeps the modern touches while still having the classic heritage there. And I think that's a really big appeal to this car as well. So yeah, I'm cruising in 6th gear right now, doing about 80, and we're sitting at right about 2,500 RPMs, which, you know, it's not awful, but the drone's there. The gas mileage is pretty bad. It's getting about 13.5 right now average, which, you know, if you're getting one of these cars, that's to be expected. And, you know, not every Mustang GT of this year will be like that, but since we're focusing on this one, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to see if I can't get a little room here to do a pull for you guys. I'm sure I was making my shipped face again. I always make that face, but I love this car. So that was a 4th gear to 5th gear pull, and it pulled hard. It's so fun. All right. Hopefully I can get a little room here in a little bit and try to do a bigger pull for you guys from maybe like 2nd or 3rd gear. It'll probably spin, but, you know, that's just something to be expected with this much power. the car does feel completely different from the last time I drove it. The throttle response is better. There's not really this weird lag that it almost felt drivetrain related, but now that it's tuned, it doesn't anymore, which is weird, but it's true. It feels good. It really does. Like I said, this is the setup I would go for if I was getting a 2013 Mustang. This is just like built so good in my opinion. And another thing about this car is that it feels powerful still. It runs strong. It doesn't feel like anything's really wrong with it. And it's about to cross over 86,000 miles. So these Coyote motors, you know, they're a beast. They really are. You can do a lot to them. You can push a ton of power through them, and they'll hold up over time. And you know, someone that's proved that is that dude in blue with his 2013 Mustang GT. He's got a Pro Charger on it and a bunch of stuff, and he didn't have to replace the clutch or anything for a while. And that car just took it, and the block, you know, it's stock block, and it just takes the power, which is amazing. Cars have come such a long way since even just 10 years ago, really. So just sitting at this stoplight right now, I'm noticing like every car that's passing is looking, and it's amazing. There's some people that don't really like attention, but it's not like an attention thing for me. I just think it's cool, like, if you have a build that people are noticing, like, what you've done to a car. I just think that's cool. I don't know why. All right, we got a little straightaway here. There we go. Woo! I'm sure I made a funny face during that. That was intense. Wow. See, the past few times I've driven this car when I've done pulls, they haven't, like, you know, that surprised me at first, but I've driven this car a few times now, and it's to the point where I'm, like, used to it, but that, like, just gave me that feeling in my chest. That was awesome. Get one more pull. Man, one more. This thing feels so good, and it's so easy to shift fast in it. It's amazing. I love it. The short shifter and this weighted shift knob go a long way. Sometimes it's the little things that make the driving experience that much better. The MT82 in these cars isn't the best. I think that's no secret to anybody that knows about these cars, but given the right modifications, it can hold its own. It's not too bad. You know, it's kind of a fragile transmission by some people's standards, but, you know, with a short shifter like this, and if you're fast enough, you know, you gotta still be a good driver, but if you're fast enough, you can really get some good shifts out of this thing. When I did that pull back there, I started in second, and at first it didn't spin, but it started spinning up towards the top, which is kind of surprising to me. Once I hit third, it was still spinning, and then it finally hooked, but it's just a crazy sensation spinning up to whatever speed that was. So that's pretty much gonna wrap up this review. Thanks for watching. If it's your first video of mine that you're watching, go ahead and watch another one if you don't mind. Check it out. If you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to grow this channel and make this a good community for all different kinds of car enthusiasts. So if you like it, go ahead and subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate it. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.